Hey guys, welcome to my discussion video for Attack on Titan. I'm making this video because I want to give you my thoughts and opinions on the series, as I am going to start reviewing it every time a new chapter comes out. Now at first I may sound a little critical, but I do want you guys to know that I do really enjoy Attack on Titan, and I will be talking about all the things I like about it soon. But first I just want to get some of the things I don't really like about it out of the way. Because while I do like Attack on Titan, I do feel it's kind of overrated and doesn't deserve all the hype it gets all the time. Now don't get me wrong, I don't think overrated means bad at all, and I'm not one to disrespect other people's opinions, so feel free to disagree with me. So most of my issues with Attack on Titan come from, let's say, the first half, which was basically Season 1 of the anime series. I am also going to be talking a lot about the anime just because it's so popular. Also, I feel it's a really good time to start talking about this now, because in the manga, it's basically at the point where Season 2 is going to end. I may be wrong, but that just seems like the most logical thing to do at this point. Now, one thing that bugs me about the series is, of course, the insane amount of hype it gets, and it's a good series, and I'm glad a lot of people enjoy it. But a lot of people, praise it to the high heavens for being original and all that type of stuff, when really, when you think about it, well, yeah, sure, it's an original story, it's not really that unique. I mean, how many manga can you name where a character's parent gets killed off right at the beginning, the character becomes angry and hellbent on revenge, the main character has a childhood friend who's secretly in love with him, the main character has a friend who's a weakling, there's a military badass, and the government was behind the whole thing the whole time. And of course, the main character can transform into a much more powerful form, like in every shonen manga ever made. Now, I don't really have a problem with all this in Attack on Titan, it's just that it annoys me when people talk about how original Attack on Titan is when it's really not that original. Also, I do feel like the first half of this series is a bit longer than it needs to be. The Battle of the Trost District, the first, bigger arc in the series, kinda goes on for a bit too long. They focus on killing a lot of characters that I honestly do not give a crap about. And of course then we have the female Titan arc, which does have some more deaths that actually have some impact on you. But the female Titan arc is probably my least favorite part in the series. And one of the reasons is because it is so painfully obvious who the female Titan is. Not only does the female Titan look almost exactly like this character in Titan form, but the character also conveniently, leaves the story for the time being. And I hate to say it, because a lot of people love these characters, but a lot of the characters in Attack on Titan, I really don't care for. I mean, Eren, even though he's the main character, I really don't care about him, and even other characters, I know a lot of people will probably hate me for this, but I'm not that big a fan of Mikasa. I mean, yeah, sure, she's cool and she's badass, but what else? And I think the reason I feel this way is that we really don't know all that much about what these characters' lives were like before. I mean, we know, oh yeah, it was all peaceful and stuff, even though it wasn't, because, that whole thing with those guys murdering Mikasa's parents. But yeah, to me the only thing Mikasa is really there for is that she wants to protect Eren, a lot. She's obviously in love with him. And yeah, that's about it. And to me, Eren is just like a angry little kid who definitely has anger issues. Attack on Titan Junior High is a perfect representation of how I feel about these characters, and you should definitely read it. Now, I actually think Armin is a much better character than these two, because even though he's a wimp at first, he undergoes some great character development throughout the series, becomes much braver and stronger, and he's also really smart. Of course, I also like Levi. How can you not? He's not my favorite character, but Levi is pretty cool. My favorite character is actually Erwin Smith. He is friggin' badass. And in the newest arc that just ended, with him taking over the government and all that crazy stuff, he only got one arm, man. Oh man, friggin' Erwin, he's a great guy. So one last small criticism I want to talk about, even though it's not really a criticism because it's more subjective, I'm not that big a fan of the art in Attack on Titan. In the anime it's different, the anime is animated beautifully, but the manga, the art is I think the action scenes are pretty good, and Isayama does a really good job of drawing, detail. But the character models look kinda derpy to me. I really don't like the way they're drawn. And a lot of times I actually get confused on what character I'm looking at. I don't know if this has happened to anyone else, but there have at least been a couple times where I've mistaken characters for others just because they look so weird to me. But that's just me. The art isn't really that big a deal, and I can live with it. Now, with that all out of the way, let's talk about what I do like in Attack on Titan. And the main selling point for Attack on Titan for me and many others is the story. What's great about the story is that it is filled with mysteries. Ever since chapter 1, so many mysteries. We don't know where the Titans come from, and we still don't really a lot of things have been revealed over the course of this manga, especially in the most recent arc when we find out the fate of Aaron's father and how the government and the royal family were pretty much behind everything. We still don't know the origin of the Titans or what was in Aaron's father's basement. Also, and now I said the female Titan thing wasn't a surprise for me at all, but when this series does have some good surprises, they blow your mind. Now, like I just mentioned, the fact that Aaron ate his own father was insane. That blew my mind. That actually convinced me to start reading the manga online. I recently got volume 15, which ended with Aaron getting his memories back of him eating his father. And that I was just like, screw this, I'm not waiting. And then I read 8 chapters on Crunchyroll, and now I keep up to date. Also, in the previous arc, when we find out that Bertolt and Rainer were actually the Armored and Colossus Titan, that was an insane plot reveal. It was really hard to see that coming, unless you already knew what was going to happen, which I didn't, so that was pretty insane. So now I want to talk about this next upcoming arc. I really don't know how much story is left in Attack on Titan. I really don't see it going past maybe 25 volumes, probably less than that, I'm not sure. Because we know a lot about what's going on now, a lot of the mysteries have been solved, and it seems like the things inside the wall have been getting better, especially now that Historia is the queen and the corrupt royal family and government are out of there. Kenny is also dead, so that's one less psychopath to deal with. But at the end of this most recent chapter, we get a pretty crazy cliffhanger. And I have a strong feeling this is where Season 2 is going to end off, and it's going to leave some anime viewers really pissed off. But of course, we see the return of the Ape Titan, who we have not seen in forever, and he beat the crap out of Rainer, who is the Armored Titan. We really didn't know how powerful the Ape Titan was, but he beat the crap out of the Armored Titan. So we know he's going to be a friggin' beast. We also now have confirmation that he is in fact a human. I wasn't quite sure at the beginning because he made a comment earlier on when he was first introduced about humans being interesting or something, so I wasn't quite sure if he was human, but he in fact is. And now these guys were back at the start of the series, whatever that friggin' district was called where Aaron's basement is. And basically Bertolt and Rainer want to save Annie, who was of course the female Titan. But of course the Ape Titan beats him, and it seems like they had a bet or something, because he said, we'll go save Annie later, but for now, whatever. And Aaron and the crowd are going to head to his basement finally. They're going to seal off the wall and hopefully find out all the important secrets. They also come to the conclusion that of course Bertolt and Rainer need to die. Oh yes, and of course Aaron now knows how to harden himself, which means he can probably put up a fight against Rainer anyway. Bertolt, I mean, he's kind of a bit of a pussy, but he is the Colossus Titan, so I really don't know how they're going to defeat him. They did defeat Rod Race, who was much bigger than Bertolt. However, Rod Race was a friggin' idiot, and Bertolt, as we've seen before, is not an idiot. So I'm not sure how much of the story is left in Attack on Titan, but I do feel like after this next arc, if this isn't the last arc, then it's definitely going to be a game changer, because it really seems like Bertolt, Rainer, and the Ape Titan are really the only enemies left. Because earlier on in the series, like in Season 1 of the anime, we weren't really sure who the enemies were, but now of course we knew that the enemies were the, military, police, and corrupt government and whatever, and now that they're out of the picture, it really seems like the focus will be on these guys. And I honestly can't wait for this next arc. It's unfortunately not returning until August, but I mean, Isayama deserves it. These last 2 arcs have been fantastic. And hopefully the rest of the series doesn't have any hiccups, the stuff I didn't really like about the beginning. And hopefully by the time Attack on Titan is over, I can look past all those, minor issues I had with it, and I can just look back at it as a really, really good manga. So with that, feel free to discuss Attack on Titan in the comments, and I will see you guys later.